So first, here is about 60 seconds of Tucker Carlson talking about how evil National Socialists are and reminding people that Republicans are not National Socialists and therefore not evil.
Over the past couple of days, Trump administration officials have been compared to Adolf Hitler and the Nazis dozens of times on CNN and MSNBC. What's the effect of that? Think about it for a second. If you really believed Nazis were taking power in your country, what would you do? What wouldn't you do? You would have an obligation to act, to use force. Maybe you'd start by screaming at people in restaurants, but you wouldn't stop there. You might try to assassinate Republican members of Congress at a baseball practice. Who knows what you would do? Hurting Nazis wouldn't make you a bad person. It would make you a good person, like Dietrich Bonhoeffer.
Okay, point number one. It is okay to physically attack National Socialists. Got it.
This is how countries fall apart, when one side ceases to see the other side as human.
Okay, point number two. People who subscribe to the political ideology of National Socialism are not human.
Progressive leaders could do a lot to cool the tone here. They don't even try. Where's Chuck Schumer in all this? How about Nancy Pelosi?
Okay, so Tucker puts member number one of the Chosen Ones tribe on the screen. It's Chuck Schumer, who disagrees with Tucker regarding Republicans, but still agrees with Tucker that the National Socialists are not human.
They're okay with Republican officials being threatened by mobs in restaurants in public? They haven't said otherwise. Apparently they are. And what about Jeff Zucker at CNN or Andy Lack at NBC? They're okay with their contributors calling fellow Americans Nazis on TV?
Okay, so now he mentions Andy Lack and puts Jeff Zucker's face on the screen. Another two members of the Chosen Ones tribe, who disagree with him regarding Republicans, but still agree that the National Socialists are not human.
Maybe they're fine with that. They're certainly benefiting from it, for now anyway, until things fall completely apart, and at this pace it won't be long. Joining us now to make sense of all of this is our friend Dave Rubin.
Okay, so to help us make sense of it all, Tucker brings on another member of the Chosen Ones tribe, Dave Rubin, who agrees with him regarding Republicans and also agrees that National Socialists are not human. Let's hear them talk about National Socialists.
So, Dave, it seems to me, look, I host a debate show, have for many years. I'm for debate. I'm for contentious debate. I just had a contentious debate. But calling people Nazis does seem to cross some kind of line, because if you really thought Nazis were taking over your country, wouldn't you have a moral obligation to hurt them?
Yes, you would. And Tucker, as you know, on my show.
Wow. So Tucker and Dave agree that you have a, quote, moral obligation, unquote, to hurt people if they subscribe to the political ideology of National Socialism. By the way, this mindset is why the brown shirts were formed in Germany. Hitler was unable to speak in public without the gatherings being physically attacked by the communists. Let's continue.
Everything comes down to everyone else being a racist or a bigot or somehow acting in prejudice. And this is a horrific, horrific way to enter an argument in the public space, because then you keep calling people Nazis, then you say it's okay to punch Nazis, and now you can actually punch everybody, you can dox people, you can do whatever you want to them. And that's sort of, I mean, if you ask me, really, if you followed what I've done for the last couple of years, this was the obvious outcome of all of this. And very quickly on the Nazi part of this, you know, the Nazis, beyond exterminating millions and millions of people, they did not let their own citizens leave the country, right? They didn't let the Jews leave. They actually put their own citizens in concentration camps and in, to slaughter their own people. This was
Okay, so literally 1 minute later, Tucker brings on another potential member of the Chosen Tribe. His name is Matt Hagman.
Matt Hagman is a Democratic congressional candidate in the state of Florida. He just put out this campaign ad. Watch this.
ICE under Trump targets children. In Congress, I'll work to close ICE down. We can protect our borders without being cruel to kids. Donna Shalala, she's had her chance. It's time for a new day. I'm Matt Hagman, and I approve this message.
Matt Hagman joins us tonight. Matt, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Tucker. Great to be here.
Let me say, and I mean this with sincerity, I appreciate your honesty. I like when people say what they think, and you have, so good for you.
Thank you.
So you want to get rid of ICE. Any other law enforcement agencies we should get rid of? How about the Coast Guard?
No. And by the way,
Why?
Tucker,
I am not completely sure whether or not he is a member of the tribe, but he does support the tribe and their goals for sure. Adam Green over at No More News YouTube channel has been warning us of the Talpiot tech takeover by Israel. Adam has been warning us that Israel is planning to control all digital transactions and currency, and to have all information technology be based out of and controlled by Israel. He revealed to his viewers that Benjamin Netanyahu has already publicly bragged about Israel having head offices for the software giants inside its borders, and that Netanyahu bragged about Israel literally, quote, driving the world, unquote, when referring to Israel leading the world in the self-driving automobile industry. So what do we know about Matt Hagman? Well, the Miami Herald, March 31st, 2015 reads, "The ecosystem supporting Israel's globally recognized tech and innovation sector, dubbed Startup Nation, helps fuel and sustain rapid economic growth in the country. A delegation of leaders in the Miami tech startup community spent the past week in Israel with Project Interchange, an educational institute of the American Jewish Committee, to learn from the country's thriving tech and innovation sector while sharing best practices and making connections. The knowledge exchange was supported by the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation. Members of the startup delegation included Matt Hagman, Miami Program Director of the Knight Foundation. Israel's world-class research and innovation, its unique academia to technology transfer programs, and its emphasis on integrating immigrants into the country's society are key areas for collaboration and sharing of best practices that can truly benefit the greater Miami community and beyond. Today, you will find almost every big-name tech company in Israel, including Google, Apple, HP, and Intel, one of the largest tech employers in Israel. The technology industry is one of Israel's biggest economic drivers. More than half of Israel's exports are high-tech, unquote. Matt Hagman was quoted in the Sun Sentinel stating that the conference, quote, far exceeded his expectations, unquote, and that, quote, the entrepreneurs featured here are pursuing such big, consequential ideas, unquote. So yes, Matt Hagman is pro-mass immigration and involved with the Israel tech takeover plot. And he is brought on the air after Tucker and his prior guest talk about beating up non-human National Socialists, and that only after a bunch of the tribe is first mentioned while citing their hatred of National Socialists, which Tucker agrees with them about. Move on. Nothing to see here, folks.